It's a beautiful day. Work is work, life is life, death is death. Each of you here today may well have heard Stasiu, or Stan, as he was known to many, say these words, delivered in his lovely Polish accent and laden with the warmth and wisdom that was all his own. Very closely connected to nature and who took joy in all its wonders, Stasiu was truly a child of the universe who touched lightly upon this earth whilst making his mark in what was his own inimitable way. And simply by being himself, he brought much sunshine into your lives. And when you were with him, he was right. It is a beautiful day. Of course, Stan's recent unexpected passing at home in Higher Kinnerton has brought sadness, grief, and a sense of deep loss to his loved ones, friends and neighbours. Yet today is much more than a last farewell to him. It's a thanksgiving, if you will, a celebration of a life well lived, and an opportunity to reflect upon all that was Stasiu. Stasiu's family, his beloved wife, Ella, their daughter, Moni, son-in-law, Paul, and grandson, Zach, his sisters, Danuta and Halina, and brother Richard, know they have lost a wonderful man, yet take great comfort from all the messages of sympathy and condolence that they've recently received. And here are just a few of them. So from nephew Boris. The world has lost a legend, but his name will live on. This man, my godfather, gave me the passion to ride motorcycles. Now my whole family rides. My wife, my children. This man inspired us all. He lived life at full velocity. We shared many beers. He loved life and everyone loved him. Go ride with the angels. I will miss my favourite uncle. And from Beryl, oh, how sad. He and my son were able to speak in Polish to each other. He was part of the charm of this lovely village. From Dawn, Stan had a way of touching people's hearts with his smile and with his generosity. I hardly knew Stan, but his and his wife's kindness and warmth to my mum made a lasting impression. Even I got sweets when we bumped into him on a walk. And you're all being very good and not rustling your packets of sweets, I have to say. Harry, very sad. A lovely gentleman who always stopped for a chat about dogs. From Michelle, oh no, that's such sad news. He was one of the first people I had the pleasure to meet when we first moved to the village. He always gave me a sweet when he saw me out and about. Rest in peace, Stan. From Andrea, rest in peace, Stan. You touched so many hearts and your Polish sweets were really good. Condolences to your family. And finally from Rachel, so sorry to hear such sad news. Stan was always so cheerful, never failing to stop to say hello and to brighten up the day. Now, our opening music, Do Ciebie, Mamo, to you, Mum, meant so much to Stasiu, as did each of the songs that we're going to listen to together this morning. And in their own way, they're special tributes to him. And what follows is, in essence, a collective show of love and affection towards Stasiu, and which continue with these words on his life and times. So, born in the village of Tomaszowice in southern Poland, north of Krakow, Stasiu was welcomed into the world on the 1st of May 1945 in the nearby bunker his family were sheltering in what was as the last phase of the war played itself out. The first of 5 children, Stasiu was raised by his mother, Zofia, and later Despite being a young teenager, Stashu was the man of the house who helped Sophia bring up his younger siblings. Around this time, Stashu's love of motorbikes began, a lifelong passion by which we mean obsession. He owned and rode at least 30 of them during the course of his life, with his all-time favourite, the Suzuki Bandit, bought for him by Moni and Paul, which he cleaned every day to keep it bright and gleaming. Although baptised as a Catholic, after coming to his own conclusions and whilst being deeply spiritual, Stashu wasn't religious in the conventional sense, unlike Zofia, who was extremely Catholic, and Ella, who remains staunchly agnostic. So suffice to say, there were plenty of lively discussions between them regarding such matters. As a young man, Stashu served as a nurse with the Polish army and harboured ambitions to become a surgeon one day, or even a vet, but was thwarted only by a lack of formal qualifications. He would have no doubt excelled in either capacity, yet had to content himself with coming to the rescue of any stricken creatures, including one of the ducks that Zofia kept at home. After it broke its leg, Stashu tended to it, providing a temporary fix. Inevitably, it did end up in the pot at home, but as they sat down to dinner, Stashu made sure that he got the leg on the plate, had set about giving it an anatomical inspection to assess just how well he'd set it, much to his mother's amusement. A lover of all animals, Stashu was devoted to his dog, Korek, which used to jump up on his motorbike to sit between Stashu and his mum before they headed off on another mushroom foraging expedition, an image captured in a photograph and subsequent article which made the Polish papers at the time. After leaving military service, for a time, Stashu worked in Krakow as a mechanic and later as a painter and decorator in Vienna. One of his claims to fame was to have painted the exterior walls of the Hofburg Palace, not on his own, we must stress. That would have taken him quite a while. But being Stashu, who loved Vienna, he made lots of Austrian and German friends and spoke excellent German along with his native Polish. In 2008, Stashu and Ella came to the UK, joining Moni and Paul in Higher Kinnerton before moving with them to Brimford and then on to New Brighton. For the next year, they lived together until Stashu and Ella returned as a couple to Higher Kinnerton, where they were made instantly welcome. It wasn't long before they were off foraging for mushrooms again, this time at a secret location between Loggerheads and Moyle Vamai. And Moni wouldn't tell me where it was exactly. Stashu was the sort of person who could settle anywhere, really, blessed as he was, with an open mind and a desire to make the most of life, along, of course, with his wonderfully engaging personality. Although he always missed his Polish homeland, North Wales soon occupied a special place in his heart, and he also acquired a love of certain things Scottish, namely haggis and whiskey. Having painted horses and other animals in his younger days, Stashu certainly had an artistic bent and so greatly enjoyed discussing art, music and culture in general with Henryk Szydlowski, Danuta's husband, and a famous artist in their adopted country of Australia. As well as lunch on foraged mushrooms cooked by Ella on the day that he died, Stashu also spoke once again with Henryk, and they really were such great pals. We've already heard from Boris, Danuta and Henryk's son, and at this point let me share with you these recollections from their daughter, Boris's sister, and of course Stashu's niece, Sarah. Hi Moni, so sorry to hear about your dad passing. Terrible news and definitely not what we were expecting. He always seemed to soldier on. I will always remember when he came to Perth and stayed with us. He picked up an old bike off the side of the road and made it new again for me to ride to school. It was my first bike and I loved it. I also remember him going for a really long walk and someone ringing me from the northern suburbs because Stashu was now lost. He must have walked for hours to get there and he didn't speak English. We laughed so much. The lady who rang couldn't believe that he'd actually walked so far. I will miss him on Skype, always smiling and saying hi to the kids. So sorry for your loss. I'm so grateful that I had the chance to meet him and to spend time with him. Wishing you and Ella all the best during this stressful time and sending you lots of hugs and kisses. Stashu also got on really well with his son-in-law, Paul, and enjoyed playing darts with him, despite having a fairly basic technique, which is best summed up at just lobbing them in the general direction of the dartboard. Stashu hit the bull with surprising regularity, after which he'd quip, "New technology." 3 weeks before the day of his passing, Stashu and Nella visited Poland for what proved to be his final visit, and hosted by his nephew Robert and his wife Ivona and their daughter Magda. Stashu set aside time to visit Sofia's grave, which was a very special moment indeed for him. Over the years, Stashu came to regard Robert more as a son than a nephew, and to be able to share this time with Robert and his family really meant the world to him, delighted as he was to be back home. It was whilst there that Stashu was diagnosed with a heart condition, yet he remained full of beans and keen to improve his vision, invested in a new pair of glasses, more new technology, which came in at £900. Thankfully, his vision was initially completely transformed, although by the time he was back home in Higher Kinnerton, he wasn't getting on with them quite so well. After giving his highly expensive glasses not nearly long enough, Stashu replaced them with a pair that cost all of £2.50. Old technology. When the time came, it was on Sunday, the 13th of August, in the bungalow Stashu and Nella shared, number 16, Beditts Lane, in Higher Kinnerton, that he peacefully passed away on the sofa there, still with his coat on and with a few beers he'd just bought to relax with that evening. And following Stashu's passing, and knowing that a little earlier that day he'd called in, as he did like to do, to the local shop run by a kindly Indian couple, Moni asked them if they had any CCTV footage of him. And the owner let them know that he did, and he was actually able to provide it to Moni and Paul, which was, I'm sure you'd all agree, such a lovely thing to do. Somehow, Stashu and the shop owner chatted together in their Indian and Polish takes on English and managed to forge a connection, discovering a shared love of motorbikes and that they'd both rode a Suzuki Bandit. Stashu and Moni sometimes discussed their mortality, and he used to say to her that if he went first, he'd come back with proof of an afterlife. Moni asked Dad not to haunt her, but to give her some sort of sign that his presence remained, and a pact was made in that moment between them. The day after Stashu passed, in the middle of the night, Moni awoke in her sleep, beckoned by a voice in her head which told her to go over to the window. She did just that and peered through one that opened up onto the street below. And there on a patch of grass, illuminated by the lamppost, a cat passed by. "Come on, Dad, you can do better than that," thought Moni. How about a gorgeous red fox? Now that really would be something. A few seconds later, one ambled into the scene, had a little look round, as foxes do, and then left the way it came. It was Stashu letting her know, "I'm all right, I'm okay," which was all the reassurance that she needed at this difficult time. It was a beautiful hand-over-mouth moment, which in the best possible way completely blew Moni's mind. Now we're going to listen to Stashu's all-time favourite song, Goodbye My Love by Demis Roussos, which many of us, though not all, will be old enough to remember, during which I'll leave you all to spend some time with your own thoughts, calling Stashu to mind in the ways that you remember him best. And I'm sure you'd like to follow the lyrics that are printed in your service sheet. So if I could begin these closing words by saying if you'd like to make a donation today in memory of Stashu, all proceeds will go towards a memorial bench in Higher Kinnerton, opposite Stashu and Ella's bungalow. And there's an offertory box beyond the exit doors on the right-hand side to do so as you make your way out at the end of our service. And you're all very welcome to gather later in the Red Lion in Northup, and there's a walk in Loggerheads that you're invited to join in with too. And I know that Moni would like to say a few words in Polish. Yeah.
Kochani przyjaciele, dziękuję Wam bardzo serdecznie za to, że poświęciliście chwilę i przybyliście na tę skromną ceremonię. Chciałabym wszystkich bardzo serdecznie również zaprosić na skromny posiłek w pubie Red Lion. Dziękuję Wam pięknie za przybycie i za spędzenie tych ostatnich chwil z moim tatą. Pięknie dziękuję.
Thanks. I hope that for all of you spending this time together as one to celebrate Stashu's life has been a comforting and uplifting experience even in itself, and one that's allowed you all to say your farewells to him in a way that's fitting and meaningful to you. Whilst the loss of those we love and cherish so much is something we all face in our own deeply personal way, and which inevitably brings us grief, brings us sadness. Life, is it not, still such a wonderful gift for us all to enjoy, and one that we know doesn't last forever. The love and the affection that you all continue to feel for Stashu will preserve the bond between you. His life something to be truly thankful for, and Stashu's passing the concluding part of what was his own unique story, one that will stay with all of you as you carry Stashu with you into all of your tomorrows.